So I know the title is a little bit out of out of the ordinary, to say the least, and I really want to make this clear. I'm not here to make a joke or whatever. I generally think that men can benefit a lot from being feminine, but it's not because men are feminine that makes them infantile. Because there's this thing that a lot of philosophers debate, that infantilization of grown adult makes them not good human being, where they can't have responsibilities, they cannot provide for themselves. They're just these being stuck in this infantile state. And I think that a lot of people are not capable of seeing the distinction between a feminine man and an infantile man, which I think is kind of baffling, because I'm not a psychologist, right? But I can recognize when a man is truly in his masculinity by how confident he is about himself. And that's where I want to dive into. It's all about the confidence of being yourself. When I say that men needs to be feminine and tapping into their feminine side, it's more of a way to express how I think that true expression of yourself comes from within. It comes from being who you authentically are. Gender is a spectrum, and some men tend to be more masculine than others. It doesn't mean that you are this thing that society wants you to be, that you should strive to be that thing. Men shouldn't go to war. Men shouldn't be these macho, misogynistic thing that we make them to be. Because yes, we make them to be like this, but men needs to be themselves. And I think it's good that we need to remember ourselves that it's okay to just be, which is all about what is femininity. It's all about being and attracting and being this whole being that you are with yourself. So I hope I'm making sense. And I want to clearly talk about pop culture and references from the past to really illustrate my point that femininity is not inherently bad. We all seen it in movies, in history books. Soldier were wearing skirts. Irish soldier, Roman soldier wore a skirt to go to war. And that was their attire to combat their enemies. And at that time, wearing skirt wasn't not. I'm sorry, I speak French, and it will happen from time to time. But at that time, it wasn't deemed as being feminine to wear a skirt as a man. If one thing, it showed that you have the strength to be a soldier, to wear this skirt that makes you this soldier, like I said. And there's all these artists such as Prince, Playboy Cardi, and Young Thug, which I think it's what happened when you exhibit your femininity in a toxic masculine way, where you don't truly own it, and you're scared to be this thing that people label you as being gay. My thing always been, it's not because you are feminine that you are gay. Doing gay stuff makes you gay. And I'm sorry for the lack of better word, but if you're gay, you're gay. It's not because you resemble someone that is homosexual that you are one. And a lot of people are stuck in this toxic masculine way of thinking, where they think that because they resemble of the homosexual people that they may drive inspiration from when it comes to fashion or whatever, that people will label them as gay, which might happen, but you shouldn't be stuck on that. As a man, you should be confident of who you are, so much to a point where it doesn't affect you. And that's what I think is true masculinity, is owning yourself to a point where you don't care about what people think. It's having a backbone. It's not caring about what people think of you, because you're so certain of yourself, you're so sure of who you are, that no matter what they think of you, that you're not that thing that they make you to be, but you are who you want to be. We already talk about fashion, but I want to lean in even more onto that, because I think that when it comes to clothing, like I said, the soldier back in the days were wearing skirts in order to fight and stuff, and I think that clothing is a gender neutral thing. I don't think that we should perceive fashion or aesthetic clothing as masculine or feminine. I think that pants, t-shirts, or shoes should be a gender neutral thing, where if it fits you, then it's for you. It shouldn't be a, oh, that piece of clothing that I made is strictly for women, or this shirt that I made is strictly for men, which come from this fascination that I have with Moa Lola, which she is a fashion brand where she makes clothes that are kind of gender neutral, because she market her clothing as this unisex thing, where no matter what piece of clothing that you see in her website, there's no male or women underneath the clothing that they sell you on the website. It's strictly just about clothes, and if you like it, you like it. I hope I'm making sense. And there's this concept called queerbaiting that I think it's kind of doing a disservice to what the LGBTQ plus cause is all about, which is owning yourself, is being proud of who you are. And even though some artists or pop culture phenomenon may may profit out of being these queer individual, I think that it's good that we have representation, and that more people are capable of being free of the stigma that being feminine is not inherently this thing that we made it to be, which is this guy that is kind of like all over the top and gay and stuff. And where I see the problem in that, where I can see why people will have a problem with that, is when artists such as Lil Nas X are exhibiting characteristics that are kind of like stereotypical of what being gay is, which is hypersexual, lustful, and really just negative with all the devil and stuff. And I think it's more of a this content that the public have when it comes to um using queer as a way to market yourself, where there's this thing being homosexual or being trans or LGBTQ that you're representing with your art, but it doesn't serve a higher purpose to what we want as people, which is acceptance and being this wholesome thing that we want the world to be. It 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 drive a sentiment of chaos and bad things that a lot of people are disagreeing with. But I don't think it comes strictly from being this queer thing that you're trying to market. I think it comes more from a disingenuous way of expressing yourself, where you're trying to be over the top, for lack of a better word, clout chasing. I hope I'm making sense. That's why I think we adore figures such as Dennis Redman, because he always been like this. And it's not really about queer baiting or not. It's really, who are you? Were you like this all along, or are you just playing an act? And I think we need to rethink what true masculinity is, because we love to label men as being masculine or feminine, but what truly is being masculine? When I look at pregnant women, for example, or mom, what I think they show is a lot of leadership and strength to be able to carry all these babies around and raise these children. And I think it takes a lot of masculine trait in order to be a good mom. And society, we tend to overlook that because there are these beings, they're like, oh, you just sit there and you make babies, and then you just a woman, you just a woman that pops baby, and then. But I think we should look further than what the societal norm are, which is that women are just moms and that's it. They don't have any type of power or anything. If one thing, I think that some women, if not all women that have children, are by definition more masculine than the average hyper masculine man. They exhibit a lot of trait that masculine men have in themselves. And I think it's a good way to illustrate my point about what true masculinity is, which is really a sentiment. It's what you think of yourself, really. It's all about how you can provide and how you can nurture the people around you. Like, we always ask for men to provide and to be these people that we can fall on in hardship, which are things that mom do on a day-to-day basis. They need to provide for their children. They need to be this figure that their children can rely on while the dad is working or the dad is doing something else, which in most cases the dad is not even there. So that's just to prove my point that most pregnant women are going way more through it than actual men. And I think that's honorable that we mentioned that. I think that a healthy relationship between men and women start from boundaries. It needs to be set stone clear that what we have right now as a friendship is something sacred and we shouldn't cross that boundaries. Where I get a lot of disagreement from the whole platonic friendship going on in the world right now. People are defending of the concept of a friendship between men and women, and to be honest, knowing myself, I think that true friendship between men and women cannot truly exist because of the desire of both sex. Men are sexual, they're a visual creature by default. They tend to be really animalistic when it comes to sex, where they want to have this will to reproduce, where women, they want to have this strong being and they want to reach into the best option that they have. Where you can say that I'm being really like sexist or whatever, I don't care. My point is that you can have a platonic friendship, but it need to come from a point of boundaries. Where a lot of figure got canceled not too long ago, such as Kodiko and I'm Alex, because they use feminism as a weapon to lure the women to their businesses, to their videos, to their creation. And I think it was disingenuous because they were coming from a point of being these men that were better than any men that they were criticizing of, while being the men that they were criticizing all along. And that's where I come from when I say that platonic friendship cannot truly work, because we see that often where men tend to put themselves in a position where they are better than other men, in a way that, dude, you're not different than us. Like, you have a dick and balls. Like, stop acting like you're not like us. And that's where I'm coming from with my point that true friendship between men and women can exist, but it needs to have strong boundaries, or just be gay. And I think it's good that we talk about this because there's a loneliness epidemic. And I want this to be a point of reference for men to have a safe space around the men around them to truly express themselves for who they are, because self-expression and just being in touch with your emotion is a quality that is deemed as being feminine. And I think it's good that we start from here, that it's not because you express yourself as being this emotional being that you're less of a man, and that you shouldn't be disregarded as a man for that, and that we should open our arm wide open when any man is in a situation of crisis. And we shouldn't overlook men for being quote unquote feminine if they're crying, or if they're having a distress, or if they're panicking about life or whatever. And I want to make this video a reference point to men to be, like I said, to create this safe space for men so we can enable them to truly express themselves how they want to. I hope I'm making sense. So in conclusion, I think that femininity is a good thing when you embrace it, but it has to come from a point of owning who you are. I don't want a bunch of men to be these things that they're not, and then they just end up hating themselves for it. I want the world to be a better place. I want people to be truly unapologetically themselves. And I hope that you enjoyed that video. And on se revoit pour la prochaine fois. Au revoir.